In this episode of Mighty Car Mods, we're making Tay-Tay go faster. Welcome to another episode of making
180SX.
Yes.
It was Mazda's for a long time. Now it's Nissan's.
Mazda's.
Remember we had the MX-5s?
Oh, I
It
thought
was
you were trying to say
Mighty Car
this
MX-5.
show was Mazda's show.
It was Mighty Car MX-5. Now it's Mighty Car Dirty 180.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is kind of good.
Last time we were playing with the 180, we were doing some skids and racing silly things. But before that, we actually reached the peak power because there wasn't enough squirting.
Tay-Tay had a little breakdown on the dyno.
She wasn't banging good or squirting good.
Threw everything out of the cotton when I've had enough.
So everything's there. All we need to do is put a bigger set of injectors in it, change our injector scaler. So we'll go from our stock size to whatever we can get, a set of 500s or 600s.
Yep.
Go again. It's always good
Always
though.
run out of
That's it.
injectors.
It's always a good thing to be running out of injector. I find that most cars make about 220 and then you put them on the dyno.
Yeah, they're making about 160.
Yeah.
Which is not enough.
No, it's not enough. You got to do some more fuel. You got to do some more bang, and that's what we're going to do, man. Because there's one thing is to have like a mad car that can do skids, but one of the most annoying things about a car is one small component that is stopping the rest of the car reaching its full potential. It could be the exhaust, it could be the intercooler. We've always been about supporting mods for your car, getting all of that stuff right first so that then you can turn up the power. The problem is there's just not enough injector, there's not enough fuel in there, and there's not enough spark. So that is what we're going to fix today.
The only thing that sounds worse than an SR20 is an SR20 misfiring. Just that, like it kind of makes a fart noise, like bop, starts to sound good, comes on boost, turbo's whistling, and then just. So part one of our 180SX power upgrade is the ignition system. Now here we've got an aftermarket igniter, coils, and wiring loom. This comes as a kit. So it should just bolt straight in. We have said that before and had varied amount of success, so we'll see how we go. But the basic idea is the ECU sends a signal down this wiring into the igniter, which then sends the signal to this thing, which charges up a coil, which sends a whole lot of electricity down here and into the spark plug, which then blows up your air and fuel mixture. Now, it is possible to just use the factory ones. There's a lot of argument about how far you can push a factory component before it starts to fall apart. But I will say that a lot of the time, the factory components, yours may go to 200 kilowatts, ours have kind of fallen over at about 165, and that could be because our particular coils may never have been changed. They also may have sat in a lot of traffic on some Tokyo highway. You've got heat cycles, you've got moisture, you've got all these kind of things, and this is just plastic. So a lot of the time, they do sort of break down and then they find an easier route to get that electricity out rather than through your plug, and that's why you get coil breakdown and all sorts of other reasons. But today, we're not really about factory parts, we're about doing some mad aftermarket stuff, so these things should be able to cop a beating. So we're going to throw them in and see how it goes. But we also have to look at our fuel system.
So the simple fact is, without getting more fuel, we're just not going to get any more power with the 180SX. And we found that when we hit a wall on the dyno, and Dale, who was tuning the car, simply said, you don't have enough fuel, you're not going to get any more power. Now the car was originally advertised, I don't know if you remember, with 220 to 250 kilowatts. And of course we were nowhere near that at all. Now we have already gone some of the way in replacing the fuel system. So we put in a new fuel tank because the last one was full of rust. We've put in an upgraded fuel pump. We've changed some of the fuel lines. We put in a fuel filter because the last one had looked like it had had a mud bath, but we're just not getting enough fuel. So today, as part of this power upgrade, we're also going to be upgrading the injectors. Now these are 740cc injectors, and these are side feed injectors, which were a popular choice with manufacturers in the 80s and the 90s, and also what my Mini has. In the last few installs that you've seen us upgrading injectors, you would have seen top feed injectors, but the 180 has side feed, so we're going to keep it the same, and hopefully these are a direct bolt-on. Now, once these are in there, we've got more fuel, it means we've got more spark, and because we're running a Haltech, it means then we can control all of these different aspects, which means when we get to the dyno, we can put in the magic numbers and actually squeeze more power out of it, because we cannot make any more power now. You can fiddle with the numbers, adjust the timing, adjust boost. It doesn't matter because there's literally not enough fuel going in there. So that is going to get the fuel in there. This is going to make the fuel go bang, and that is going to make the car go wah, 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 wah.
We'll be starting with the coils, and of course today we're working on my Nugget 180SX drift car, which has a red top SR20 engine. When you're doing a mod like this yourself, the first thing that you want to do is remove anything that's going to get in the way of your install, and in our case, it's this dodgy old sway bar. Remove the factory injectors by undoing the screw, unplugging them, and then carefully pulling them up to make sure that you don't break or damage the plastic. Next up, we're removing the ignition harness and the earth, which will be replaced entirely. Doing mods like this is a good way of checking what's already in the car, and I'm glad we did because this wiring is dodgy as.
So this is the factory ignition harness here, and as you can see, one of the most important things is to make sure you've got a good ground. Now I want to show you the ground on this one here. See this action? That's like swinging around like Tarzan's dong. Look at that, like loop to loop, look at this, whee! And most ignition problems are going to come from a bad ground, which is exactly what that one there has, a little bit of twist and tape action. Season 1 of Mighty Mods. Actually, no, even we didn't do it back then, did we, Martin? We did it right. Anyway, so over here, we've got the new system. Now this here, this end is going to plug in where this one plugged into, but now we've got a proper ground that's actually connected, which is great. Then all going well, this is going to plug into here, and these are going to be a direct bolt-in replacement for these, and hopefully, it's just a matter of installing these, plugging them in, plugging that in, installing the ground, attaching that, and we should have mad spark.
These upgraded coils, known as a super direct ignition system, will be a straight replacement for the OEM coils. Made in Japan, they claim to increase horsepower, maintain maximum energy supplied to the spark plug, and reduce incomplete combustion caused by misfire. Added to this, they are 25 years newer than what we just pulled out of the car, and that has got to be a good thing. Once the new coils are plugged in, you need to find a location to install the control box. This will also need a solid earth. Next up, you can run the wiring. Make sure it doesn't rub against anything or sit against anything that's hot, and then you can tidy up the wiring, and this part of the install is done.
That's it, man.
So easy.
That's literally plug and play. That's JDM efficiency.
It looks really neat too. Like it looks like it's all meant to be there. That's mad. We did that first as well because we don't want too much fuel pressure sitting around in that rail. If you've just driven a hot engine and then you start messing with fuel injectors, generally you get covered in petrol.
Yeah, cool. Well, that bit's done. Now let's replace these.
Then we've got to tell the ECU that we've got different ignition dead times and different injectors, and it should just start.
Make sure your fuel system is depressurized, and then you can unplug and remove your factory injectors. And on an SR20, this is super easy.
So injectors can be a little bit tricky to get out, especially side feeds, especially ones that have never been out before. But literally they just go pop and come straight out. You can pull the whole rail off too if you're really keen, but we don't particularly need to do that. So we're just going to undo the top here, pull the injectors out and slap our new ones in.
Side feed injectors can be really stubborn to remove, especially if they've been in there since Roxette's last hit song. So listen to your injector, as you may need a fair bit of force to get them out.
So that's what our side feed injector looks like. Now there's a screen the whole way around. It's a really good idea to check that and see if you've got any debris or crap stuck in there, because that tells you that your fuel filter isn't working properly. You saw our very brown fuel filter from a couple of episodes ago, which was catching all the crud. It's always a good idea to have a look. These look like they're in pretty good condition really, but they just do not flow enough fuel. Fine for a stock car, not fine once you've got boost. These injectors come with a little bit of lubricant that you can put on the seals just to make sure they don't catch when you're putting them back in. Fuel leaks are the biggest problem you'll encounter installing injectors. If they're not right, it will make send fuel everywhere, and it is dangerous because if stuff's hot enough, it can catch on fire. That's another reason why it's good to work on a cold engine bay. These are our replacement injectors. They're the same color, which is pretty cool. They've also been marked, so a lot of the time, what manufacturers will do is flow test them before you get them. So what you're paying for as well is the fact that they know exactly how much fuel this is going to flow, and they'll give you an evenly matched set. so that the numbers that you're putting in for every single injector are exactly the same. You'll notice we've also got slightly bigger holes just on that there, which governs the spray pattern and also how much fuel comes through. And again, much like the coils, these are brand new. They've done 0 cycles, millions and millions and millions of cycles. So again, for a car this age, even just having new injectors is going to be an improvement. Flowing more fuel is going to be awesome. And they're not so big that they'll cause rough running or anything by being too big. So we should see it work pretty well. So let's slap them in.
Your new injectors should always come with new seals, so lube them up and push the injector firmly but carefully into the rail. You'll know it's seated because you'll feel it pop into place. Now it's simply a matter of plugging them in and changing the injector scaling in the ECU. Our 180 is running a Haltech Elite 550, which has fully replaced the factory ECU and means we can run our bigger injectors and upgraded coils. These injectors come with flow information, which is a good starting point of what to enter into your ECU software. Now we've got to check for leaks.
All good? Yeah, it's all good, mate.
Which we do by priming the fuel pump a few times and inspecting the injectors. All that's left to do is see if it'll start.
And that's it, a mad simple upgrade that'll help us make more power.
So there it is. Well done, Martin. And that, maybe we're wrong, man. That's meant to be bolt on and it bolted on.
It bolted on. It's my favorite kind of modifying stuff. Like, you get it, you plug it in, it all works, it all like is where it's supposed to be, and then you turn the key and the thing just fires up.
It is so much better. And just, it's an awesome way to, like, whether it's a weekend, whenever you've got time to work on your car, that is the kind of stuff that you want to be doing. Because even the exhaust on this that was meant to be really simple, it goes, cool, couple of bolts, couple of hangers. Hangers don't line up. Bolts are all C's. Next thing you know, we're like angle grinding stuff, we're welding stuff.
Like, oh, that doesn't work. Wheel bearings, that doesn't work.
It's cool stuff to do, like it's cool stuff to fix it, but it's not fun. Like that, you put it in, you click it and it's done. So that's freaking awesome. There it is. Now the next step, of course, is going to be finding out how much power it makes. And hopefully that's what we're going to find out next time, because we want to get back to that original claim.
I reckon with that turbo, that manifold, and now it's got enough fuel, enough spark, I reckon it'll make over 200 easily.
Well, 220 to 250 is what the car was sold as.
250.
250. I'm going to be happy with anything over 200, because I reckon that's going to be awesome. I mean, my Forester had 185, I think, 186, which would make this my most powerful car ever.
Do you know what? I think if you're making 100 kilowatts a litre, you're doing pretty well.
You're doing very well. Very well. So there it is. Of course, thank you for watching Mighty Car Mods. You can follow us on the Faceballs. That is faceballs.com/mad180s. No, it's just /Mighty Car Mods. And we've got a second channel as well. And there's videos going up there every week. That is MCM TV2.
You can hear us talking a whole lot of, not rubbish. You can hear car news. We eat weird stuff that we find on the internet, that he finds on the internet.
Lots of rubbish.
And there's some cool technical videos going up there as well, and some characters that you know and love.
Exactly. So there is regular stuff going up there on Facebook and on MCM TV2. Thank you very much for watching. There it is. Martin, I've got you a delicious snack, mate. This is a raspberry licorice Australian made.
Is it made out of chocolate?
No, it's made, look at that stuff.
Oh, that looks
It looks like
disturbing.
a blood plug.
What?
A blood plug.
Does it?
Like it looks like if you'd had a gunshot and it filled up with blood, then you pulled it out, that's what would be in there.
Oh, that's a bit morbid, but...
Sorry, mate. Oh, it smells very,
Oh, good.
oh, very chewy and raspberry.
You like licorice, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of licorice. Oh, you're not a fan of this licorice at all.
That's not licorice at all.
Oh.
That's weird.
It tastes like they got a licorice plant.
Tastes like those things they put in the urinals. You know those zesty little...
The soap cake things.
A piss cake. Piss cake. Don't you reckon it does a little bit?
No.
The edge, really?
I like
no, the edge of it, that weird piss cake taste.
I like it.